One of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Good day, everybody, whether it's morning, evening, or anywhere in between. Welcome to unRekt Traders. Today we're taking a look at Jasmy, currently on the monthly, using the machine. As always, we start at the higher time frame, work our way down. And currently, right now, if we take a look at the quasi, we can see that we had a mean reversion, more or less starting in July, down to the 10. So we got this here already, pushed down into the 10, which was about a 30 to 40% short. Now we have the 20 white coming down into the quasi range as well, meaning that the possible target of 0.011 is in effect. More or less what that means is price is going to want to come down to this possible target, to the white 20. Now if we look a little further back, we do have this nice candle here, and we do have, bring up the rectangle here. So we more or less have a nice little imbalanced candle. Price pushed above it quite nicely, and now we do have an imbalance. So if we come to the 0.5 of this imbalance, we'd be looking at coming back to that 0.010, which is pretty much where this possible target is at anyways. So I would look at this as a nice return area to continue forward, or coming down to this last bullish or bearish candle here, and then coming down to the top of the bearish candle, and then continuing to the upward direction, taking out liquidity above, coming to that 3.2R at the 0.043. Now, if it did make its way down to here and then took out liquidity above here, we'd be looking at a move of in and around, let's just say 300%, let's say. And if we take a measure move for the monthly using our fib retracement, so we come off here, work our way up to the top basically. Let me just change this to the right one. All right, so if we look, we've already come down to that 0.7, past the 618, and then we'll be looking at coming into that 0.8 area, which is the optimal entry for this full move in the monthly. All right, so we've already kind of come into a nice buy area. You know, we can see that, well, it wouldn't really be that way, but basically coming into here, we came to that 0.5 of this move, which is typically what we see. And that's basically from here to here, came down to that 0.5 and then continued to the upward direction, taking out this 0.25, which would have been your take profit. Now we did get another big move up, however, that was just by wick. And then we came back down to that 0.5, and that's currently where we're basically sitting. Now if I do move, we could really just put it here, to be honest. We did come down to that 0.5, had another push back up, and now we're sitting at that 6.1. Basically came to the 618, and then we had the continuation, which was our shelf level from the 0.5 area. However, we are looking to take out liquidity. We have a bunch of equal lows. Typically when we see equal lows, they get taken out. And then coming down into that possible target, like I said earlier, with the 20 white here at 0.11. Now we come into the weekly. Let me just get rid of this stuff. We come into the weekly. We do have our possible targets down below. We can more or less say that the aqua here was hit, which is the 50. Not quite full tag, but we can say that it was. Again, nice equal lows across the bottom here. A lot of liquidity sitting at these levels. And then we could see basically a little run on liquidity coming down, maybe even to that 50 with a little bit of a wick. However, with the 100 where it is, even though it is a weak support and resistance, we did come into that 100 yellow. Because of where the 10 is, that 10 is likely going to push us back up to the top of the 50 here, basically filling in this little imbalance here, and then pushing up more. Like, we'll see if it can get above the 50 resistance before coming down to that 100. But as of right now, because of where the 10 is, unless it stays in trend, it is going to want to push above that 100 one more time, push out, make it to the 20 white here, or up into the 10. Odds are this 10 will be here. Let's see, we got 5 days left. So we'll see if we can get above that 50 resistance. It could just come back up to the top of this 20 white, retest it, and then try to push down, take out the equal level liquidity, coming down into the possible 10-cent target, which is what we really want, to be honest, before continuation of that upward direction. On the 3-day, again, came down to support, which was our target. Basically, you know, it was back here, but we can see When price does come into that 100, we knew it wasn't going to go below the 200 because of where 200 is sitting. It's been well above that range for quite some time now. So it's been riding that 200, knowing that that was our full support for this whole entire move, basically. Came down into it, bounced off. Again, always tries to break free of that 100. Created a double imbalance here, so we know that was going to get filled, which it did almost immediately. And then it pushed up to that 50 and couldn't break out of that 50. So it's more or less what I was saying for the weekly that we saw on the 3-day before continuing to that downward direction. Now, you know, it is trying to get out of that resistive area. Will it? Probably. It might push down a little bit more before it pushes up, just because of where that 10 and the 20 is. So the 20 white, as of right now, is acting as resistance, as is the 200, because the 200 did come in. So we have a double resistance. But this is the first time coming into that 200, so we typically see a little bit of a push out one more time before continuation to that downward direction. Now if we put a rectangle on this imbalance candle, more or less we have this here. So our 50 did come to the 50% of this imbalance. We'd be looking at price coming back to the 0.026. And then from there, either will it try to get out of that 100 yellow band, or will it just come into this imbalance and then push down to the downward direction? So more or less on this here, you know, this is our protected high for the most part. If price does break above there, then we can look at price coming into that 3.2. So we did have a break of structure here, breaking into this guy, pushing down. Wasn't the greatest. And then this one did show a little bit of weakness just because it pushed down so far, and then more or less bounced right back up to the top of that 200. And this 200 quasi here was just starting to enter into that range. So we had a nice trend on the 200 and 100 for quite some time, coming back into February 2024. Nice push up, and now we're looking at things to kind of cool off, the bands get a little smaller before continuation in whatever direction it wants to run. And as of right now, we are looking for this target down here on the 3-day. Coming into the daily. So coming into the daily, let me just delete this here. This is still our protected high, and will remain our protected high until we can break structure below this point here. And then if we have a nice imbalance pushing down, breaking structure here, then this will be our next protected high. So, but as of right now, we are looking for, you know, we are kind of trending in that downward direction for sure. Protected high is currently here. Now we do have a little bit of imbalance on this candle here, pushing us up to that possible target of where it wants to go. So odds are, because of where things are sitting on the 10 and the 20, and you know, the 50 aqua is our current resistance on the daily, but if this 50 can push up into that range, then we'll see that move up into, probably up into the, maybe rebound, maybe come back up to this 100, or maybe even 50% of this move. And then 50% of this move would be, you know, well, exactly where our target is anyway. So coming back up to that 0.025, try to push up higher. And then if it can't break this protected high, then, you know, we're going to continue to that downward direction. And like I said earlier on the monthly, so there's a possibility that we take out these equal levels, take out the liquidity, and then see where things are kind of lying. Coming into the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour itself, we have the 200 acting as our current resistance. We did push up, can't really include this one because of wicks, but we did push up into it one time here, hitting our 50 target, which came into effect on August 5th. So we did push up. Let's see, yeah, August 5th. So we did push up into the target. Wasn't the greatest return, really, I don't think. 10%, not too bad. So we did get that push up. And then coming back down to that 100, and the 100 currently holding, as is the 50. And then we'll see if price does want to come up to this 100 target. So that 100 target has been in effect since August 8th. And we'll see if it can kind of push up. Now we can see that it is, you know, fully bearish for the most part as of right now. And until we will break this structure more than likely, unless this 100 just continues to climb back down to here. And then we get that push to the downward direction. But odds are price will come back up to here, basically to that daily 20 here, and maybe up into that 50. Now this 20 is dropping pretty hard, so we could see, you know, basically coming down to that 3.2 quite easily. And then that would be our imbalance candles from back here as well. So easy money to come back into this range right here for the most part, which would be pretty much our 3.2. Back to the 4 hour. So we'll see how it plays out. You know, it is bearish. We have our protected high quite high above us. So do we want to take a short here and hope it doesn't break that? Probably not. You'd want to get it up a little bit higher. And then, but we are looking for that upper range a little bit, or even to the 0.5 of this whole entire move, basically, which would bring us to that possible target anyway. So, all right, guys, that's what I have for Jasmy. I guess I will go into the Nexus to take a quick peek at it. So we take a look at the higher time frames. Let me just get rid of this protected high. And I think I'll zoom out just a bit more so we can see it easier. All right, so I did have these on here from forever ago, because even though this wasn't a true yearly, at least I don't think it was, pretty sure it wasn't. So even though it wasn't a true yearly, you know, these were the targets from down here. For the ones that took it, great. You got your 761% and then some. But as of right now, these targets have been hit. The naked has been hit. And then if we look at the current yearly, you know, we are extremely bullish. We got probably, let me see, probably well above the R8 here. So we did get above the R7. Typically, when we do get the R7, what we can see what happens is, where's that price thing at? It's in here, or no, it's in here. So do the price range from the top of the range to the yearly R7. Typically, once you get above that R7, you can see a double move. So we'll see if we actually got that double move on Jasmy. I don't remember if we did. Almost. So we almost got the double move, taking us to the R14. So we almost had that double R7 before, you know, we basically ran out of steam here. And then we'll see how far it does want to come back down. You know, if we take that whole measured move, basically from here up into this range, we're already below the 0.5 of that move anyway. So more than likely 618 or so, maybe 0.7. So we had our full bull on this market already, basically filling in these imbalances, or the nakeds here. We almost made it to the previous 3-month low. And again, even on the quarterly here, quite a bit higher than the previous quarterly. So in that case, we were looking for a continuation to that upward direction. Now, we didn't actually get it this time. We got a little bit of it, but it has been more of a sideways quarterly, more bearish, obviously. And then, you know, we're well on our way to that previous 3-month low, kind of where our equal levels are at. And then we'll see, you know, it is like technically on a yearly basis, it's still bullish because we're above that yearly R4. But I do think it's going to come down, take out the previous 3-month lower, and see where it lies from there. But even just come right back down to that previous year high before wanting to continue. Now the nice thing about this is the lower it goes, the better. The reason why is because this was such a large move. Let's see where we're at actually. Let's just bring it up here. So we're actually kind of sitting at where the next yearly target would be anyway. And you'll find that a lot where they don't want to get too far away from the next pivot. So you'll see that anytime you do have a large move like this, it's going to want to come back to that 0.5 even before the time occurs. But the lower this goes, the better. And the reason why, so if it did come, let's just say it did come down to that previous yearly R2, we know that the yearly is going to be somewhere in this little range area anyway next year. So, you know, let's say it did come to the previous year high one more time, then next year, when we get the new naked yearly, we'd be looking at 160 or 170, depending on where this is, of course. So, but again, you know, then we know that we have a nice move ahead of us, unless the coin completely dies, which I don't think it will. And then we have a nice move ahead of us. It's an easy buy-in. and then take your profits when it hits the target, or if it does go full bull one more time, then once we get above that liquidity, take some of the profits off once we hit the target, and then take some more off when we take liquidity off the top of that yearly, and let the rest run for the rest of the bull market when it does occur in 2026, if it does happen in 2026 or 25, sorry. All right, let's come down into the monthly. Come in a little smaller so we can see it better. All right, so on the monthly itself, we did tag the pivot for the most part on this monthly, and then we fell through, becoming bearish. And then the same thing, if we take our measured move, basically from the top to the bottom, formed our new real pivot, which is here. So basically we did come down into that pivot perfectly, and then we went bearish from there. And we were looking for a bearish continuation, which we did receive. We did take out the previous month low already, so this would have been really our second target for profit, first being at the S1, and then basically at our previous month low, and then you'd want the rest to ride, getting out once it went above that previous month low again. So the monthly did play out perfectly for the most part. We do have our weekly above us, so price is going to want to come up into this weekly range, which is right here. So let me just get rid of the monthly so we can see it better. So here's our naked weekly. We did kind of come up into the bottom of it. We almost tagged it, but if we do actually make our way up right into it, then currently we're looking for 17 to 24% possible move here. More or less, we're looking at price coming up into this weekly, even though we did hit our weekly target already on this week. Let me just come in a little closer. So we did hit our weekly here. We are looking for continuation to the downward direction. However, we hit our target. We went full bullish again. We have this naked up here. So what we could see happen is coming up into the previous week high, weekly R1, finding resistance in and around here, possibly making it to the pivot, and then hopefully from there we can come down and take out those equal level lows and continue to the downward direction. So as of right now, we are looking at price coming up into this weekly pivot here, or into the naked pivot, and if it does break above the upper range, then this will be our next resistive level, sitting at the 29, and then we'll see how it kind of plays out. So, but we are looking for, we wanted to take it to previous week low, but because of where this is sitting, there is that possibility that price will, and it is bullish, it's above the range. So it is possible that we see a double-sided weekly where we take out the previous week high, come into this range here, or at least to the bottom of it, taking out liquidity above 23.64, and then from there basically continuing to the lower direction, taking it to previous week low. So we could see our Darth Maul basically, so up, down, and then go from there. All right guys, so that's what I have for Jasmy. Hopefully it helps you guys out. Got the long range picture and the short range. So happy trading, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.
Visit unRekt.me and download our free powerful indicators, and join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite indicators, the Nexus Suite indicators, and the Nexus Screener.